Hello everybody, hope you're doing well. I've been seeing a lot of videos on my feed about how there seems to be a lot of people making videos on the topic of the lack of having friends and the fact that they're in their 20s or sometimes I've seen 30s and they say that they don't have any friends and they're kind of venting or just kind of getting it off the chest. And then, of course, the comment section kind of reveals that a lot of people are feeling a similar way. And in this video, I just kind of want to talk about my opinions on that. At one point time in my life where I felt a bit like that, and hopefully I can give you guys some advice if you're experiencing these difficult years currently in your own life too. I will say as well, I'm not surprised that a lot of these people are saying that they're in within the sort of just in their 20s and they're stating that they don't have friends, because I think that that is a point in time in people's lives where unless they've got some lifelong friends that have stuck around with them, then by 2021 obviously you might have finished university if you did go to university, and unless you're in a job, and maybe it's the reason why you don't have friends, because you have a job and you're unsuccessful in being able to be buddies with people who you work with, nebbies, or nebbies you work from home. But my point is, you're not always working in a very big social sphere like school. So unless you're part of a club or you're working in a sort of open space area and you're lucky enough to work with people who you get along with, it's just going to be a big chance where you've now got to that age where you've left all that, and I'm afraid no longer in that position to be able to readily meet people within your same age, you know. So I'm not surprised that a lot of people are making videos saying that they're within that sort of 20s age and that they don't have friends. Now, I quickly want to say my experience of feeling this in one point in my life. I remember I must have been about 23, I think 23 or 24, and I was at the gym, and I have no idea why, but I remember I was in the middle of doing some reps of something, and the thought just came into my head where I was thinking, I don't seem to have many friends. It just kind of came out of the blue in my head, and I think what the big reason why that came into my head was the fact that I realised that I hadn't seen any friends for what must have been about 6 or 7 weeks or something. I'm pretty sure as well this was post lockdown, and that's another topic in itself, talking about how a lot of people feel isolated because of, you know, having nearly 2 years of not being able to meet people face to face, but that's by and by. I'm sure it was post that. Anyways, it really got to us. I kept thinking about it more and more. And eventually, I got home and I talked with my mother. I think I didn't even bring it up randomly. She could just tell that I wasn't very happy. And I was just open about it, you know. And I'm really not going to put my mother down here because she's fantastic in many, many, many countless ways, you know. But she gave me, it's not even advice, she told me something that really stuck with me. And I just thought, what? And I just want to say this because I've never heard anyone else say something like this, you know. So I told her about how I didn't really have any friends or felt like it. And she said, well, do you not realise that a lot of people in the family here don't have friends? She went, well, I don't have many friends. Your dad doesn't have many friends. And then he rattled off all of these family members, as if it was to say, well, that's kind of normal in this family. Honestly, so strange. But never mind. She just gave us so much good advice, but that's the one time where I think she kind of missed the mark, but never mind. And I certainly didn't go, oh well, fair enough then, I guess I'm just going to spend the rest of my life not having many friends, because it's just the way the family is. No, definitely not. And within my personal experience too, it wasn't that I didn't have any friends. It was the fact that I didn't see friends, or the fact that I felt that the friends that I did have either were now, because of, getting older, had moved away, so it wasn't easy to meet up, or that everyone's busy with their own lives, and that just is a thing. So obviously, I didn't kind of take that on board and just gave up there. And I'd like to think now I feel a lot better. I do have a good social circle, and I certainly haven't had those fleeting thoughts of feeling lonely for a while, you know? And this is where I feel it's quite difficult to give advice on this subject, because everyone's got their own story, like I just told you there. And because of that, I mean, what I said there was very, very unique. I feel people could have physical issues that's making them incapable of meeting people, um, compared to the majority out there. Maybe it's mental health issues. Could be financial difficulties. You're thinking, how can I go out with people? I don't have the money. That was a thought I thought at one point, actually. Living conditions. Maybe you just don't live in a good area. You don't feel safe. So it's hard to generalize this advice that can kind of universally apply, be applicable to the vast majority of people watching this. But despite that, I have noted down, that's why I keep looking over there, I've noted down 3 big tips, I suppose, that I think could be something that everyone should be able to do. First thing, social media. It's always brought up, I think, with this. Now, what usually people do when they bring up social media and the feeling of isolation is to get off it. Don't go that far. Try and use it sparingly, is my first tip. Reduce the amount of time you use it, because I believe social media is a blessing and a curse at the same time. Now, the curse is brought up many times, but I'll still address it in case you haven't heard. Now, when you go through social media and you're looking at all of these people who are living their best life, or at least it seems it, they really are not. They are just posting on Facebook, Instagram, whatever that you use. They're only going on that when they feel that at that point in their life, this makes me look good. And that's why they post it. And that's why if you go on someone's profile and you're looking through, the vast majority of the time, it just looks like they're on holiday all the time. They're in a great relationship with somebody. They're out with the friends. They're traveling the world. They've got success in abundance. And it really isn't that. Imagine if someone had to post something amazing that they always post every single day. I think most people would be incapable of doing that. And that's what you need to really always think about. Because if you're feeling like that, and say if something just miraculously happened that you thought was really good, you'd feel compelled to post it, wouldn't you? You'd feel compelled to make a post about it. Almost to kind of get that sort of gratification of people seeing it and going, well done, and it makes you, I suppose, feel good. And that's what they're doing essentially, really. For me, I very rarely post anything on social media unless I just think it's funny or I think it's of importance, like a cause or anything like that. Otherwise, I use it for that messaging part, being able to directly message people. And that's where the blessing part of social media comes into it, because it's easier than ever to be able to message people. Think of what it must have been like pre-phone era, the 70s and 80s, you would literally have to go outside of your house, go to a telephone box, and hope that someone isn't using it, and then hope that that person is available in their own household to be able to get in contact with them. It was either that or you go to their house. A bit more tricky, you know? So that's where I think the blessing part comes into it. So what I've noted down as the main tip out of social media is get that bravery to send a message to someone that you like. Just try and do it. Now, for me, and I'll bring this up later on, the buzz you get from sending that message to someone, it doesn't matter if you haven't talked to them for weeks, months, years, it doesn't matter. It's kind of like when you ask someone out who you really like, that sort of buzzing sensation. It's not to that caliber, but you still get that in a way. And it's a good feeling, I feel at least, right? Because really think about it. If you send that message to someone, what have you lost? You either get a response back, which is them wishing you well, or even better, they want to meet up with you and you can arrange that. That's great. Or the worst thing is, what, they don't respond or they don't want to meet up with you. Who cares? You haven't seen them for years. What does it matter? It really doesn't. That's the big tip I can give for you. And Nebby's, it's sort of a, this might be more unique to me, and Nebby's it's a bit selfish thinking, but what you need to do is, I suppose it's adding to making you self-love yourself. Think of it this way as well, if they don't get back to you, or if they say a nasty comment or something, turn that a bit, don't put yourself down, think, well, I'm glad that I didn't meet up with them, they're obviously an arsehole. Turn it into a good thing. Of course, they might not get back to you immediately, maybe they're busy, that's fine. But especially if they don't, want to send you a nice comment or something like that, put that as a good thing. Think, well, at least I'm not that person, turn it into a good thing. So send that message to someone that you like, if you've got social media, of course. Just do it, just try. That's the main tip I would give you. Now the second one is start journaling. That's a big thing that I would recommend. Either on a digital thing on your phone or something, make a password encrypted little diary where you just post. Try and do it frequently, work on it. It might take a while, but just try and build up the frequency of working on it. Get to do it on a daily basis. You can do it digitally or do it physically. You might prefer that too. But there's many good things about being able to journal, right? And the big thing for me, first off, is you get to note down, obviously, how you currently feel at that time. Now, this is useful in both the present time and the future time at the same time, if that makes sense. Now, it's good for the present time because you're formulating your thoughts when you're writing it down. And by doing that, you've been able to streamline the things that you're thinking, and you've got it straight away there, so you can reread what you've written. And by doing that, it's very helpful for me, because when you've done that, it means that you can think about what you're saying there, and it's not all sort of rambled or something like that. You're saying it in a very condensed way. And by doing that, if you feel that you need to talk to someone about this, then you can go over what you'd written there, and that might actually help you talk about it, because you're kind of reciting it. So that's a good thing too. But the other thing is about how in the future you can look over your previous entries on this journal or diary or whatever, and that's great too, because you can either still be at the current situation that you're at, you could be in a worse situation, or you can be in a better situation. If you're in a current one, or if you're in a worse one, you can reflect and go over what happened. Did you try something that didn't work? Is it because you're realising you haven't done anything still? That might give you that bit of a kick to start doing something. Or you feel better, and you can reflect on that and go, well, I'm much better than how I was back then, and you can keep working on it and progressing. And like I say, this isn't just a video where I'm giving advice and I know that'll apply to you. It might not, because everyone's on their own personal journey, but just try and journal. What I usually do, I do journal. What I also add is two different things. I usually add what I've been proud of for that day, what I appreciated on that day. Maybe someone said hello or gave us a nice comment. Maybe I feel like I've accomplished something. So it makes it you feel like you've done something for that day. So what I do is I recommend this. Get yourself a day-to-day diary where on the back there's space for you to get a pen, a marker pen or something, and on the morning make a little checkbox of things that you want to do and accomplish on that day. You can hold on to it, put it in your pocket or something, carry it about with you, and when you feel like I don't need to do something, I did write something down, you get it out and go, oh yeah, I'm going to try and do that. And again, it's talking about that buzz, you know, seriously. When you can actually get to the point where you've finished your day off and you look at all those tick things that you've accomplished, it's very satisfying. And you can put that to your journal and say, yeah, I've done this, I've done that. And it's a good feeling. If you do this on a morning as well, it means that if you struggle with procrastinating, then this should help you as well. Because sometimes when it comes to procrastinating, it's not so much knowing that you need to do something and you're putting it off for some reason or another by distracting yourself, but it's sometimes you have days where you don't even know what to do. So being able to think about it and, like I say, keep it on you, I think that'll help a lot. So that's my second tip. Last tip I'm going to give you guys is get physically active. Right? The thing that I need to suggest here, if you want to never mind getting a gym membership and all that palaver, I'm just going to forget about that sort of thing, because maybe it's again financial problems, and maybe you don't have one local to you. Just go outside and walk, right? That's what I really suggest. Why walk? Well, it's really good for you, good for your cardio. Number 2, it's free. And number 3, that's where everyone is, outside, where all those strangers are. That's where your possible friends can be, you see. Now, if you've got a nice scenic route around your area, go on that and you'll see other walkers, joggers or whoever. And maybe hey, here's another quick thing I just thought that if you don't even know if there is a nice scenic route, right, go to like a local shop or something and just ask them, you know. So there's a bit of advice there. But my point really is that when you see someone walking the other way or something when you're walking, say hello, just try it, all right? And again, that's kind of relating to that buzz I was on about, where you send a message to someone and how it's always like a win-win, basically. They either reciprocate and say hello back, give you a smile, you feel good, or they ignore you, or whatever. And you're like, well, who cares? At least I tried. You feel good about yourself for trying. And as well as that, you can think, well, I'm doing bad, but at least I'm not that guy. Or at least I wouldn't ignore someone saying hello to me, or, you know, put them down or something. I think they must be going through difficulties if they're at that point in their life where they would do that to a total stranger. So that's what I really suggest too, you know. And if you're able to have some headphones and listen to some music that you enjoy at some point of the walk, then great. That's a total other point about how music can really help people, you know. But I think that's it. I've went on long enough there. So those are the 3 tips. In summary, I recommend you guys, with social media, use it sparingly, use it to message people, stop looking at other people, what they're doing, because a lot of it is really streamlined to the point where it's not their real life. Get a journal, get something physical, and start doing diary entries. You'll feel better. And number three, get outside. These are like so basic to the point where it just sounds like something that anyone would say, but I hope in this video I've kind of expanded on my points where you can kind of understand why I've suggested these things, you know. And again, I've really tried to give these suggestions where they should be applicable to most people. But I'll end it there. Um, I'll just end, of course, saying if any of you are going through this, just keep at it, man. Like I say, I was feeling that at some point, but it does get better. Again, could go on about the clubs and activities and stuff, but this is just kind of basic stuff that I'm giving you suggestions on. And when it comes to stuff like that, I think that's something that you would figure out yourself. These are like baby steps, I know, but they really are like the main things that can help you plan on how to get yourself sorted, you know, because it's important to socialize, it really is. So I hope you guys take care of yourselves. Again, many apologies if you're going through, just keep on it, man. And if you have any advice you want to give to people, put it in the comments. If you want to share your own stories about it, then put it in the comments. And if you think this advice was good or bad, let us know, you know. Alright. Okay, so take care of yourselves. Bye for now.